In May of 2022, Rock Island Auction Company was privileged to offer a Colt 1851 Navy attributed to none other than the Prince of Pistoliers, Wild Bill Hickok. Formerly housed in the Cody Firearms Museum, the excitement surrounding this monumental piece of Old West history pushed it to far exceed its pre-auction estimate and bring over $616,000. In our video about that gun, we spoke at length on the life of Wild Bill, tried to separate the fact from the fiction. In this video, we'll speak to his death and look specifically at the Smith & Wesson No. 2 Old Army that's documented to his time in Deadwood, South Dakota in the weeks immediately preceding his death. In early 1876, Wild Bill was just 38 years old, but his eyesight was failing him. He was losing hair. And that March, he married the wealthy widow Agnes Thatcher Lake, a woman more than 10 years his senior. She had been a bareback rider in the circus, who now owned and operated it. The couple honeymooned for several weeks in Cincinnati, but by June, Wild Bill was bound for the gold fields of the Black Hills. He traveled there via the wagon train of his companion, Colorado Charlie Utter. He planned on making some money, either by prospecting, gambling, or buying timber tracts, and then sending for his new bride to join him. She would never see him again. He was en route to a date with destiny in Deadwood, a boom town that might have come and gone like so many others, were it not for what the fates had in store. Hickok's arrival that April was a quiet one. He set up camp, did some prospecting, started playing some poker. But slowly, he began playing more and more. His favorite haunt? The No. 10 Saloon, where he happened to know the proprietor and a barkeep. Some accounts portray him as a model citizen, a man who kept to himself, minded his manners, and gave no indication of his earlier life as a hard man of the law. He even wrote sweet, optimistic letters to his wife about their future life together. Other accounts are less kind. It was a time in Wild Bill's life where he was greatly diminished from the legendary gunfighter famous on the national stage. In addition to a nagging eye disease that affected his shooting, he was gambling more, winning less, drinking to excess, and is said to have been arrested several times for vagrancy. In addition, Wild Bill was having premonitions of his own death. He mentioned these to his traveling companion and now business partner, Colorado Charlie Utter, and even in a letter to his wife dated August 1st, 1876. Part of his letter reads, "Agnes, darling, if such should be that we never meet again, while firing my last shot, I will gently breathe the name of my wife, my Agnes. And with a kind word even for my enemies, I will make the plunge and try to swim to the opposite shore. J.B. Hickok." The same day Wild Bill penned that letter, August 1st, he had a surprisingly good day at the poker tables, winning as much as $110, much of it coming from a man named Jack Crooked Nose McCall. In a kind gesture, Hickok gave McCall some of his money back so he could buy a bite to eat. But McCall, already mad from the card game, viewed the gesture as an insult. The very next day, Hickok's sense of foreboding would come to fruition. August 2nd, 1876, 146 years ago this month, Wild Bill Hickok made his way to Nuttall & Mann's No. 10 Saloon as he did any other day. Most of the prospecting was done in the morning, and when the summer sun became too much, Med would venture into town for the shade of the saloons and the poker tables. But in a dramatic change of fortune from the day before, Hickok found his luck running short, and the career gambler had to borrow $50 from the house to continue playing. That day, he also had been forced to uncharacteristically sit with his back to a door. Wild Bill was understandably cautious. He was a man with no shortage of folks seeking revenge against him, or even those who just wanted to test themselves against a man of his reputation. Thus, he made it a habit never to sit with his back to a door, allowing other people to potentially get the drop on him. He had asked his playing companions to give up their seat, but no one accepted. Wild Bill sat at the only remaining chair, allowing him to see the front door, but with his back to the rear door. Whether Hickok had gotten his requested seat or not, when Jack McCall entered that day, his presence would likely have not been suspicious. He had gambled there before and even said to have done some odd jobs for the proprietors. Now, some sources have McCall entering the front door, others the rear. Some say he was drunk and was at the bar, and others still say he snuck in the back right behind Wild Bill. But whatever the details, the results remain the tragic same. Around 4:15 in the afternoon, Jack McCall pulled a .45 caliber Colt single-action Army and from a distance measured in feet, fired a single slug into the back of the skull of Wild Bill Hickok, shouting, "Take that, damn you!" As is well known, the cards that were held by Wild Bill Hickok were black aces and black eights, to be forever known as Dead Man's Hand. The legendary gunslinger, lawman, and scout was dead at just 39 years of age. This Smith & Wesson No. 2 Old Army is solidly documented as owned and carried by Wild Bill Hickok during his brief time in Deadwood. It is listed by serial number in a sworn affidavit, and one source calls it, quote, one of the best documented firearms ever to go on sale. The 6-inch rosewood-clad .32 caliber revolver can be traced all the way back to Sheriff Seth Bullock, who was made de facto sheriff in the aftermath of Hickok's murder. Some say he bought it when Hickok's belongings were auctioned off to pay for his funeral. Others state that Bullock took Hickok's possessions as evidence. But either way, Bullock came into possession of this revolver. He eventually passed it on, and it remained in Deadwood until the 1930s, when Wild Bill Smith & Wesson was again documented, but this time by renowned handgunner Ed McGivern in his book, Fast and Fancy Revolver Shooting. All the copious documentation and provenance solidifies the fact that this revolver was the property of Wild Bill Hickok. But the question on everybody's mind is this the revolver that American West legend Wild Bill Hickok was carrying when he was murdered? The answer may be lost to time. No one seems to have documented the serial number of the gun he was carrying that fateful day, but there are several compelling facts to consider. 1. This revolver is documented to Wild Bill's time in Deadwood. Now that's a period not measured in months, but in weeks. Number 2, Wild Bill was known to carry Smith & Wesson No. 2 revolvers at this time in his life. He had moved on from the Colt 1851 Navies to a cartridge gun, moving away from percussion and to a gun that was smaller, easier to carry and conceal. And number 3, perhaps the most compelling, is that numerous and respected authors and historians on the topic have stated that Wild Bill was, in fact, carrying a Smith & Wesson No. 2 when he was murdered, including the foremost of Hickok historians, Joseph Rosa. Those facts demand consideration. After all, how many could he have been carrying or have owned during his time in Deadwood? This revolver, available in our August Premier Firearms Auction, represents a very exciting opportunity for any collector of fine arms or for anyone who still carries a torch for the Old West. A little after a month after Wild Bill Hickok's murder, September 13th to be specific, the poet scout, Captain Jack Crawford, found himself sitting at the gravesite of his old pard, and he jotted down one of 2 poems that he wrote to commemorate his fallen friend. Entitled An Epitaph to Wild Bill, it was even later turned into song, and the last stanza is especially poignant, and it reads, "Under the sod in the prairie land we have laid the good and true. An honest heart and a noble man has bade his last adieu. No more his silvery voice will ring, his spirit has gone to God. Around his faults let charity cling, while we cover him with the sod."